So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminski Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Jersey's here, Jersey's here.
What is going on, everybody? Today I have an amazing guest. We are going to be talking about messaging and the messaging that actually works in your marketing versus 98% of the messaging that we get as consumers that doesn't work and fall flat. So this guy is an absolute master when it comes to lead conversion and how to treat leads and nurture them into paying customers. So I had to have him on the show. Without further ado, I want to introduce Robbie T from Hatch Coaching. What's going on, my man?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me on, Henry. I appreciate it. Super excited to geek out about this. I love talking about lead conversion, dude. I tell people all the time, like it's my God-given purpose right now to geek out about leads, which very few people do.
Well, God knows we all need it, right?
Yes.
We all need it, right?
Yeah, amen.
So I want to just take a couple of minutes here just so people get a better understanding of who you are and why you do what you do. Because one of the big things that I push when it comes to building your brand is credibility and authority. So we want to give the audience right now a reason to listen. So let's take a few minutes and just share with us your backstory on how you're doing and what you're doing right now.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, because first off, I never thought I'd be, on a podcast like this. I never thought I'd be in sales, right? And that's usually how life works is your calling finds you in some respects. And that's my story. Let's go way back. When I was in college, basically, I thought I was going to work in political campaigns, and I did. And one of my favorite things is I actually hacked my junior and senior years, where my college professors, don't tell my alma mater this, but my professors let me enroll in classes and get credits for the class. And instead of me going to those classes, I was working political campaigns, which was honestly the best gift in the world because real life experience matters so much more than oftentimes classroom experience. Anyways, so to kind of tell you the story, why does that matter to you all is now I'm kind of known in the real estate space as like this lead conversion nerd guru. And as you can tell, I'm wearing Star Wars schematics on my shirt. So I'm an authentic, true nerd. And I know you probably agree with this so much, Henry, where when you're building a brand, it's got to be authentic to you, because if it's not authentic, you get exhausted trying to be someone you're not, and somebody will sniff you out. But for me, I'm a total nerd, and I study lead conversion. But that really started when I was working political campaigns. I worked something called field, and really what field meant was I was that dude that was knocking doors, making phone calls on the front lines, talking to voters. And what's really funny is whether you're in sales or when I was in politics, the common mantra was get out there and tell people why they should sell, or why they should buy from you, why they should vote for your candidate. And I tried that for a little bit, to be completely honest. I tried it for a little bit. And here was the problem was people would literally boo me off their doorstep. And if you think sales is unpopular, again, politics, 10 times worse. I've heard things you never want to hear. But what I realized was I'm someone that likes to kind of pivot and change if something's not working. So I was like, I got to do something different. And instead, I started going up to people, and instead of saying, Henry, here's why you need to vote for my candidate, right? I started going up and saying, hey, man, I'm out here today. And I just wanted to know, Henry, what matters to you this election? And dude, people wouldn't shut up. They would talk forever. Now, here's what was so crazy about that was by just asking that question and making it about the voter, as opposed to making it about me and my candidate, what happened was people would open up, right? And that's what I've found is that if you want to influence someone, to steal from Tony Robbins, you want to influence someone, you got to find out what's already influencing them. And here's what was crazy is I would always find common ground with the farthest right or farthest left. I'm not going to tell you what party. It's my secret. Just kidding. But basically, I would find common ground with every single person between my candidate and them. And I think really what happened was, people talk about rapport, and really I just believe that oftentimes building rapport comes from listening first and then maybe telling them something later. And that's where everybody was getting it wrong. Well, it's funny to kind of bring this full circle now. How do we end up here today is I was working campaigns. My wife and I found out that she was pregnant. We were expecting. And the one crappy thing about politics is you work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. That's literally what I was working for $2,000 a month, right? This is 2012, 2013. So it's a ton of work with so little monetary reward. And really what I went through was I had a breakup with a campaign, and I was in this place of, well, I got to find a job that is going to pay. And the other crappy thing about political cycles is you get laid off when the campaign's over, right? And there's only so many jobs that can go out to people, that sort of thing. So it was this game I wanted to get out of. And I could talk politics for days. We'll come back and do that a different day. But I found an opportunity to start in sales, what's known in real estate anyways, as an inside sales agent. Really what that meant was I was the dude calling leads when people signed up on the phone. And the funny thing about that was the mantra again in sales was call them and tell people why you're so important, why your team's better, use data. And the reality is I learned very quickly that approach didn't work. And I went back to the whole approach I took in politics, and I'd call and say, hey, Henry, saw that you were looking at some homes on one of our websites. Are you just kind of looking for fun, or you think about making a move sometime soon? And sure as heck, guess what happened? People started opening up. It really was that simple, but people were overthinking it. And to this day, we basically use that same line. I've taught, at this point, thousands of salespeople to just change the orientation of what you're talking about away from you, because you as a salesperson really doesn't matter. That's the uncomfortable thing that salespeople can't get over is you don't matter. What matters is that person, their needs, their wants, their desires. So that's kind of the background. That's how we ended up here. And now I geek out about this stuff all day long.
Oh, man, that's awesome. And, you said so many crucial things in that 4 or 5 minutes that I just want to highlight. Like, what Tony Robbins said about see what people are already being influenced by and leverage that, and stop trying to blast people with why you're so awesome. Instead, flip it and say, what's important to you? So huge takeaways there that I want my audience to really pick up on. Now let's get into, so we got to keep this tight.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into 2 things today.
Yeah.
One is what makes a marketing message work, right? And then the second part of that is once you generate that lead and you have them in your front door or coming in the front door, what do you do with them next, right? And I think you're the perfect person to talk to about this. So in your opinion, and based on what you've seen in the research that you've done, what makes messaging actually work when it comes to putting yourself out there online?
What's so unique is a lot of people think that your messaging should be marketing. Once somebody has already been drawn in through your marketing, they think that you need to continue marketing. And I take the opposite approach. Your marketing's already worked. They're now a lead. They've been drawn in some way, shape, or form. Now you need to change your tactics away from marketing towards engaging. That's the word, right? You need to create a conversation. And where people go wrong is they think that the way, I'll talk about real estate because that's obviously my background now. Everybody falls apart because they think that they're going to text people listings or text people about an open house. They're going to market to that person. And here's what I can tell you is if somebody wants information in this day and age, really in anything, there's this amazing thing called Bing. Just kidding. It's Google, of course. Somebody brought up Bing the other day. I was like, this is crazy. Anyways, they can Google it, right? You can literally find almost anything you want. So where a lot of people go wrong is they pigeonhole themselves into being a gatekeeper of information. And I'll just kind of tell you the quick story about like save searches. Everybody thinks that the way you convert a lead in real estate is you put them on a save search and that they're going to come back when you send them the right house and buy from you. And then my number one question I always ask people, Henry, is how many homes have you sold from a save search this year? And guess what the number always is without any doubt? Always goose eggs, right? 0. But the funny thing is, I was just reading Jim Rohn, and he talks about how you need to put major effort into major things, right? The funny thing is realtors are putting major effort into a minor thing that creates a goose egg. Like that'd be like me investing all my money into something that will never produce anything. It's silly. It makes no sense. And so I've learned But, and the reason this doesn't work, why I'm going on this tangent, is saved search is sending out information. The problem is, of course, is that first off, people are getting saved searches from 4, 5, 6 different places. It's a noisy medium. And the other thing is that most saved searches are going to somebody's emails, right? And then my favorite part is this, is if somebody's lucky enough that they actually, let's say, Henry, you were the lead. I sent you the house that you were interested in, right? And you got it. You probably want to go see it, right? But you don't want to go commit to an agent yet. You don't even want an agent. What you do is you drive past it, because most people are buying a home within 5, 10, 15 minutes of where they currently live. So you're leaving work, you drive past the house, and here's the funny thing about real estate is if you like that neighborhood, you love the house, you see this beautiful thing in the front yard called a for sale sign. So you reach out to that person, and you as somebody outside real estate have no clue that that person's different than the person that emailed it to you. Want to know why I figured this out? Was I was the guy taking those calls, and people all the time, because I'd be like, oh, so by the way, Henry, how did you hear about this listing? And they would say, well, you sent it to me. And I'd go into our CRM and I'd look, and sure as heck, guess what? They weren't there. So somebody else was sending them it. I just sniped that opportunity. So that's just a really good example. Rather, what you need to pivot to, your messaging needs to be engaging, right? You need to get this conversation going about them. They don't want to talk about you. Think about this. I always put it outside of real estate. I put it in a car sales language, right? I don't want to talk to a car salesperson about why their dealership's the best or why their team's the best or whatever. I don't unless I'm asking them a question. Rather, if somebody texted me and said, hey, Robbie, saw that you were looking at some cars on our website. I just wanted to reach out and see if you were just browsing for fun or to see if you plan on potentially buying a car sometime soon. I'd respond to that because it seems like a friend just texted me. And that's the biggest thing, Henry, is you almost have to make it seem like you're just texting a friend. You got to put them at the center of the conversation, their needs, wants, and desires. And here's the biggest thing. You had said something earlier, and I want to bring it up, is a lot of people are trying to talk instead of listen. And here's the problem with that is when you're talking, you're not learning. And when you're not learning, you're making assumptions. This is the biggest problem. This is why Tony Robbins was genius, saying you need to find out what's already influencing them. The reason you need to do your best to do that, you need to make them the center of the conversation, is your mind will make assumptions all day long. It's just how it works. And that's not to say you're bad or I'm bad. It's just how our brains work. A really good example I give is in real estate. If somebody says, I'm looking to buy a bigger home because my family's on the grow, everyone's assumption is, oh, that person's having a baby, right? But dude, I've heard some crazy things of what family on the grow meant. A good example was somebody told me, and honestly, this was a failure of mine, was somebody said, this was years ago, that their family was on the grow, they're looking to buy a bigger home. And I said, oh, congratulations. Because I thought my brain said they're having a baby, right? So I said that. And then here's what happened was I then learned that the reason they were actually getting a bigger home, their family on the grow, meant that mother-in-law was moving in because father-in-law just passed away. I was the a-hole who just congratulated somebody on their father-in-law passing away because I made a little assumption. Not because my intent was bad, but it's because I wasn't question-oriented. I wasn't being curious. And I did a whole TED Talk on this, that the new ABCs of sales, it's not always be closing anymore. Because always be closing operates on faulty information. It's always be curious, connecting, and collaborating. That's the messaging. That's the approach you need to be taking today.
Wow, dude. Okay. That was fire. That was fire. I want to get, I'm trying to poke holes into things and I can't because that was just so solid. So let's get to the second part then. Okay. Because I think this is where, a lot of my Brain Accelerator clients come in and for this specific reason, they've gotten some momentum behind their back. They're generating leads, but they know they could be selling more product, service, whatever it is, coaching, and they just can't figure out what's going to move the needle to push them over the edge. So now we've attracted the lead. We've engaged them. We're staying curious, connected, and collaborative. What do we do next? How do we treat these folks? And what do we need to do to push them over the edge without sounding like that creep?
Yeah. So for me, you have to we're going to tie it back. In order for you to influence someone, you need to find out what's already influencing them. The best thing you can ever do is take the time to learn what is it that drew them into your product in the first place. What is it that they're interested in? Because what happens is that becomes the ammunition, the motivation. I firmly believe that you can't motivate anyone to do anything. I firmly believe it. You can understand their motivation, right? I think, so let's talk real estate. I'm never going to reach out to a lead and get them to buy a $350,000 house. Not going to happen. They have a motivation to buy a $350,000 house. I now understand what's causing that. So the big thing, here's the biggest thing I see happen, Henry, is what people do is they think learning what's equal a why. This is the number one thing I see people go wrong with, is they think if I know everything that they want in terms of beds, baths, garage, the one question that actually matters is, but why are you looking to get a bigger home? That's the one question that actually matters that people are so afraid to dig into. And some people are like, why is it a judgmental question? I'm like, no, it's not. It all comes down to your intent. Are you being curious or are you being judgmental, right? It's all your energy and how you approach it. And here's the crazy thing, man, is, if you were thinking about buying a house, Henry, one of the big things I'd say, all right, so you want a bigger home, tell me why that is, what's going on? Just strictly out of curiosity. And here's the crazy thing. People are hardwired to answer the dang questions. That's just how it works. We're humans, right? We're social creatures. So here's the biggest thing. I think far too many people are trying to motivate someone because they've learned a few whats, and they're trying to use the what to motivate someone. When in reality, the thing that matters is you finding out the why. I say it like this. You can know 10,000 whats, and it's nowhere near as powerful as knowing the one why. Nowhere near. If I know that so let me tell you this story, and this one shakes me, man. I had a call one time with a father that said he was looking to sell his current home and to buy a new place, right? And I could have dug into all the whats, and I could have got that. That would have been easy. I asked this dad, well, what's motivating you? Why are you looking to move places? And this dad had backed over his own son and killed his own son. And he couldn't be in the house anymore. And what people don't realize is me knowing that and giving him permission to share that with me is so much more powerful than me knowing all the details about his current home or the home he's moving into. And honestly, so you had said something before the show we were talking about, it's how do you treat a lead, right? That's one of the things we want to talk about. How do you treat a lead? You've got to treat a lead like a human being with a story, with a complicated story that isn't always sunshine and rainbows. Some people's biggest frustration for the reason they're reaching out and they're being drawn into your business is because maybe they're leaving money on the table, but why does that frustrate them? Why is that frustrating? For me, whenever I get on the call with anyone, my number one question I ask, Henry, is, why are we chatting today? And dude, that question right there, I never have to sell anyone because they sell themselves. But here's the other cool thing is if there's an alignment between their why and what they need and it doesn't work with our product, I'll say no because I have the confidence in that. I'm not desperate. I don't have sales breath. But I think the big thing I'm getting at is empathy is so key. Empathy and curiosity as opposed to being pushy and salesy. And the final thing I'll really end on is one of the most messed up things about sales is people become attached to making the sale. And one of the biggest things that push people to do is relinquish the attachment to the sale. Let go of it. The funny thing is, because I take clients on all the time, and they have sales breath, right? They're desperate for the next paycheck. They're going through all this. And I literally push them, just relinquish the desperation to make the sale. Let go of it. It doesn't matter. Instead, focus on learning and serving. If you do that, here's what's crazy, man. You make that mental shift, and every single time I've done this with a client, they make more sales. That's like the oxymoron of it, right? Is you let go of the attachment, because what happens is you don't make it about you at that point. When you're so desperate for the next sale, you're talking about yourself, and I can hear it in call recordings where people are like, well, we're the best team, and here's why. And leads don't care. They don't care. You know what they care about is themselves. And here's the final, I've said the last thing was the final, but I got one more thing in my mind that's popping around. It's this, is that emotion makes us act and logic makes us think. So many of your listeners think I'm going to tell them why we're 10% better than anyone else. That's not emotion, man. That's logic. What I've learned is if you can find out the why, that's emotional, and emotion motivates people. And if you got a superior product, which most of your listeners, I guarantee, are creating something that's next level that will provide value, find out why it would be valuable for them first, and then dig into that. And then, of course, I told you earlier, curiosity, connection, collaborate in that order. Start by asking questions, right? Try to build a connection with somebody. And by the way, where people go wrong with this is I think rapport means me telling them about myself. No, it doesn't. It just means me letting them talk about themselves more often. And then aligning that with how our services could potentially help. So that's a big thing. That's what I do, Henry, is you got to learn to treat a lead, differently. Wow,
dude. That is awesome. Like you've broken that down into such a simplistic sequence. Yeah. I know people are going to be able to now take this and run with it, so lead with emotion, all the things that you've mentioned, be genuinely curious. I usually say something along the lines of like, be that 4 or 5-year-old that constantly asks the question why. My son just turned 3 yesterday, and I told him, like, you got 5 whys and we're done, right? Because it gets crazy. I mean, everything's a why. Why is the sky blue? Why is it up there? Why is it right? And like I go and go and go, and finally it gets a little crazy. So I'm like, all right, you get 5 whys and then we're done. But usually by the 5th why, like, he's getting a little exhausted too. So it's a good thing, but like, it's training me as a parent to be a better businessman.
100%.
Right? And ask more why questions, because that's what's really going to drive. And, it's such a sad story about that the guy and his son. But man, knowing that information opens up a completely different connection, with how you're going to serve that person. So I love what you said, teach, serve, and just not make it about you so much. And I think that is where you're really going to be able to nurture that lead and treat that lead the way they want to be treated. And then they're going to feel like, duh, this is the obvious choice is to move forward with, you or Henry or whoever it is. So this is fantastic stuff. So real quick.
Yeah.
Hatch Coaching. Yes. Where can people learn more about Hatch Coaching and what, and just follow you?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. You can check me out on Facebook, Robbie T. And everybody asks, why do you just go by Robbie T? My last name is Trefethrin, and it sounds like a pharmaceutical drug with all the problems and none of the money. And it's a mouthful, man. It's funny because even in our family, we say it differently. So go follow me on Facebook. That's one place. hatchcoaching.com, HATCH coaching. Simple. Just go check it out. And, for us, we've defined our mission at Hatch Coaching as redefining the way people treat people. And what's really cool is I have a business partner, Eric. Eric runs one of the most successful real estate companies in the country. We'll sell about 850 to 900 homes in Fargo. No, that is not every house in Fargo. People always asking. Yes, we do have internet. And no, we don't always talk. Like, I don't know where my boots are. We don't always talk like that. But we run a really great, successful real estate company. And right now, our niche is real estate, but we're expanding because we know a lot of what we're talking about is goes far beyond just real estate. My expertise is how do you treat your leads? Eric's expertise is how do you treat your team members and your team? Yeah. And we're just redefining the way people treat people, man, because we saw far too many people, were buying into these old school methodologies of, like, if you look at sales, it was pushy, salesy, always closing. And dude, it just makes me feel gross. Yeah. Even if that works that momentary time, you can't go home and feel good about that. And you know what changed, by the way? we didn't even get into this, Henry, is 20 years ago, if you were screwing people over, there was no way to hold you accountable outside me not shopping with you again. Now we have this really crazy thing called an iPhone or Samsung and Facebook, and people can wreck you hard. There's more accountability today than ever. Thank God for it. Yeah. So you can't do that anymore, right? Yeah. You got to be upstanding. You can't just push and sail and close people. Eventually, people will figure out that you're a fraud. Yeah. Where 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that wasn't the case at all. And I didn't even bring up reviews yet, right?
Yeah.
So that's just, the world has changed, and people now are realizing you can't live that way anymore. So, and then of course on the business side of how you treat your team members, a lot of people are buying into the whole authoritarian old school model that just doesn't work with human beings. There's so many choice, and people don't have to work with you. People can work around the world, right? I could go get a job for Apple right now if I wanted, or Amazon. Mm-hmm. And the world's changed. So the way you treat your team members matters. So that's what we're really hot on, is redefining the way people treat people. And, we're early on in this mission. So Hatch Coaching is only 2-3 years old, and we're excited to keep going. And I can't thank you enough for letting me come on the show, sharing my nerdiness a little bit. So I appreciate that so much.
I love geeking out about this stuff too. So you're not alone, my man. You're not alone. Robbie, I can tell right away, dude, that you're a genuine man, and you come across with some really great energy. I'm an energy person. I'm not like super woo-woo, so don't get me wrong, but like I can I have an agent now that helps me get great guests on podcasts and get me on shows. And I got to give a huge shout out to Todd Armstrong for connecting us, because he's been doing a hell of a job, like really bringing some quality people to the show that really know what the hell they're talking about and really have a passion for people. And I've been working with Todd now for close to 4 months. And you're just another one of the folks that came through that are just like salt of the earth. You could tell you're really passionate about what you do and love what you do, and want to make the world a better place. And that's what Unique Designs is all about. That's what the Brand Doctor is all about. That's what my mission and my vision for this business until I drop dead is to really help people design a better business and design a better life for themselves. So when they're 80, 90 years old, they're looking back going, shit, I did it, So thanks again for coming on the show, dude, and just sharing your expertise. I know a lot of. I got half a page. I got a page and a half full of notes over here. So great job, and guys. Again, you hear me talk about this all the time. You could listen to 380 episodes at this point. If you're not doing anything with this information, then it's not gonna do it itself, right? We're teeing you up. Right? With everything you need to know about treating a lead, massaging the lead, creating messages that actually work, engaging your customers, positioning you as a better business person, a better salesperson, a better listener, right? Get out there and just use 2 of the things that Robbie talked about today, and then start adding to that list once you feel confident, comfortable with, those things, and keep it moving. That's how you're going to grow. That's how you're going to crush it. And that's how you're going to design this business and life that you're super proud of. So have an amazing day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode real soon. Take care. Hey, everyone, this is Henry Kaminski Jr. again. And really quick, I want to invite you to a one-on-one consult with me right now if you're looking for the clarity and focus you need to build your brand. Over the past 13 years, I've served hundreds of entrepreneurs that have great products but struggled tremendously with articulating its value to their ideal customers. You didn't get into business to just change a few lives, did you? Your ideal clients need you. And when your brand has precision-crafted messaging coupled with beautifully thoughtful design that sounds, looks, and feels like you, they'll know you're the perfect match for them. If this is something you're struggling with, what I want you to do right now is pause this audio and go visit www.uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net, and book your one-on-one consult call with me. Remember, the quality of your brand will determine the quality of your clients, and the quality of your clients
will determine the quality of your life.